Hello and welcome to the Vienna Christmas Market Spectacular. I popped over to Vienna for a couple days to check out as many of the markets as I could. When I first started looking at markets in Vienna, I didn't realize that there were so many options and it felt kind of overwhelming at first. So I decided to film several of them so I could do a review, and hopefully it'll be useful for you in deciding which ones you want to go to. Most of them I stumbled across on my way to other destinations, so I didn't know what market it was until later when I did some Googling. So I had no preconceived notions going into these markets because most of the time I didn't even know where I was. So I'm going to show you several of the markets, their locations, do a little cost comparison, tell you what I like and didn't like about each one, and give you my overall impressions. Some common things you'll see at all the markets are gluhwein, obviously, which is a mulled wine, pretzels and spiral potato chips, Christmas decorations and ornaments, and lots of silver jewelry and wool clothing. And just a note about these items, even though you're at a market in Europe does not mean that the items are made locally. So if you wanted something specific to that area, like if you're in Austria or Vienna, make sure you check the tag on the item before you buy it, because a lot of times it'll say made in Nepal or some other country. So if you're looking for an item specific to whatever city or country you're in, just double check that tag before you buy it. Okay, let's jump right into the first one. The Art Advent at Karlsplatz is located right by the Karlskirche. I happened to pass by there a couple weeks ago when they were setting up the market, so I was wondering what it would look like when it was all ready. When I came back to Vienna this past weekend, I happened to pass by it again and saw it done up in all its glory. The church does make a beautiful backdrop, and there are more booths than I imagined. So let's start with the pros. Obviously, it has a very nice backdrop. The booths had more artisanal products. There was at least a couple of different organic gluhwein booths, and they had vegetarian options like veggie soup and potato goulash, and just more real food options overall that you could actually eat as a meal and not just fried snack food. It was a pretty good sized market, and it was a lively and relaxed atmosphere. The cons, it didn't feel that festive. They were playing reggae music. There was a giant hay pit in the middle, which I guess is fun if you have kids with you, but to me it felt kind of disheveled and like there was a weird farm in the middle of the market. And I just didn't really like the energy there. It was an okay market, I just didn't click with it. I even went back the next day to see if I felt differently after going to several other markets, and I still didn't like it that much. The gluhwein price was €5 on up, depending on how fancy of a drink you got. On to the next market. The Theresien Platz market is located between the Natural History Museum and the Art History Museum. They're both beautiful buildings, and the Art History Museum is amazing. I highly recommend it. The pros are the beautiful surroundings, feels very festive. They had a good variety of food and drink and dessert options, and even food options for your pet. They were playing Christmas music, and it just had a very Christmas atmosphere. I went during the day and I went back again in the evening. It was definitely more busy during the day, but both times it was never too crowded or overwhelming. Cons? Well, maybe I'm biased because this might have been my favorite market, but I can't really think of any. I really like the energy here and the festive feeling. The gluhwein cost $4.90 and it was delicious.
Сестра купує, але jest dużo samych swoich.
The Rathaus. It's not far from the other markets. I saw the building tops on my way back to my hotel for an afternoon break and decided I was going to check out that location in the evening. Well, me and everyone else was going to check out that location. This was by far the busiest market I went to. The pros are that there's a lot to see. There's light displays, games, lots of booths, even an ice skating rink. If you like being around the buzz and energy of others, then this is the place for you. The cons, long lines to get food and drink, crowded, and I think it was the most expensive one I went to. Gluhwein was at least €5.50 to €6. I personally did not like this market. It was way too crowded for me. Yes, the Rathaus is beautiful, but there's a crowded street right by it. You can see the traffic and hear the car horns honking. It felt almost like a fair or something. And I think this one might have been my least favorite. Spittelberg. This one felt a little out of the way to me, but I wanted to check it out. This was a series of alleyways with booths and it felt very local. Almost everybody I heard was speaking in German, while the other markets you'll hear a lot of people speaking English. The pros is that there's a lot of variety and bio options for food and drink. The wine was the best price. It was only $4.20 for a normal gluhwein. And it felt kind of cozy in the alleyways and felt laid back there. The cons are that it didn't really have a festive vibe. There was no music. Most of the booths seemed food-oriented, so you might not find all those Christmas goodies you're looking for that you'd see at other markets. And it was a little bit farther of a walk. I did get a delicious langosch there for only $5.50. I saw it for $8 at other markets. Langosch is Hungarian, but they sell it at almost all the markets in Vienna. Normally I hate fried food, but I wanted to try this. I don't know if it's because I went from 9 to 5 without eating or drinking, but this langosch tasted delicious. I got mine with garlic and sour cream. The first night I went to Spittelberg, I wasn't too crazy about it, but when I went back the next night, I liked it better, and it's definitely one I would visit again. Let's talk about a couple of the smaller markets really quick. Stephensplatz, right by the St. Stephen's Cathedral. I honestly didn't even walk through this one because it didn't have that many booths and it didn't look fun. Yeah, it's right next to the church, but it's also surrounded by all these shops and tourists, and it didn't have ambiance like the other markets have. The other small one is Michaelerplatz. It's very centrally located, but it has few booths with kind of generic items. And despite the beautiful buildings around it, it also doesn't have that festive ambient feel some of the others do. It also smelled strongly like oily fried food mixed with horse poop from all the horse-drawn carriages by it. Okay, back to the bigger markets. The Christmas Village at Belvedere Palace. This is in a great setting, and I thought it would be much more crowded than it was because of its beautiful location. The pros are the beautiful setting, and you can walk through the gardens to get there. Had nice goods, and it wasn't too crowded, and overall just a good vibe. The cons, it was a little bit of a walk. There wasn't a ton of booths. And there was churros there. Yuck. That feels more like fair food, not Christmas market food. Overall, I really liked this market. I forgot to check the gluhwein price, but it was under $5. I think it might have been $4.90. Second to last, the Amhoff Market, located across from the Kirche Amhoff. I didn't really see much about this market online, but I was surprised by how much I liked it. It didn't look that appealing from the exterior, but once I stepped in, I loved it. The pros are the beautiful surroundings. This is pretty much a theme in Vienna if you haven't noticed by now. The booth options seem more unique in terms of food and drink, and it had a good vibe and seemed more local. The cons, well, I can't really think of any. It felt festive in there and I really liked it, and I think it was my second favorite one after the Theresien Platz. The last market we're going to review is the Old Vienna Christmas Market, located right up the street from the Amhoff Market, like not even a minute walk. This was another one I really enjoyed. Felt very festive and cozy. They had a good amount of booth options, and some of them you can even walk into. It was busy but not too crowded, and they had a nice selection of sweets beyond the typical nougat and sweet pretzel. And I believe the gluhwein was about €5 there. There are so many markets to pick from in Vienna, each with their own pros and cons, and you pretty much can't go wrong with any of them. Belvedere and Old Vienna were super, but the Maria Theresien and Amhoff stood out above the rest for me. Spittelberg I do have a soft spot for. Karlsplatz and Rathaus were at the bottom for me. If you have the time, then go see all of them yourself and see which ones you like the best. But if you have limited time, then I hope you found this review useful in deciding which markets you want to go to.